Welcome back, everybody. We've got a pitching change for the Halifax Blooms. Chris McDonald now having left the mound. Richard Sardi coming on the mound in relief of McDonald. We have the situation, runners at second and third for Dartmouth with no outs, having one run scored. The score now 7-4 for Halifax. Mark Weeks coming up at the plate. And Sardi, mainly a fastballer. We'll see what the Moosehead Dry can do in familiar territory, coming up against a guy that can throw some heat, primarily, or to say dominantly, the Dartmouth Moosehead Dry, a very strong fastball hitting team. Perhaps this is what they were looking for.
Could be just what the doctor ordered for Dartmouth. Trailing by 4 runs entering the inning, as we said, they got 1. So the tying run now is actually at the plate in the person of Mark Weeks, whose base is already here. He swings at the first pitch he sees and grounds it to third base. And the play's going to be at first, and they pull the runner off the bag. So he's safe at first, another error. And it's now 7-5. As Rob Finn crosses the plate there to make it 7-5.
There again, once again, no outs, runners at the corner, 2 runs scored. Scored now 7-5 for the Halifax Pelham Blues.
That'll bring up the top of the order Jason Irvin. And Dartmouth, of course, now right back in this game. It's now 7-5. Sardi on the mound for Dartmouth, this pitching change. And Jason Irvin swings to the first ball he sees. He's going to run into a 4-1 out, though, sorry, 4-3 put out. So now there are 2 outs, but another run will score, so it's that much closer. It's a 7-6 ball game.
That's 1 out correction.
Excuse me, 1 out, yeah, with Mark Weeks reaching on that error. That is just 1 away.
Select fielder number 14, Greg West.
So runner on second is Mark Weeks. There you see him. Greg West is at the plate. He's already got a big home run to his credit here tonight. Dartmouth trailing now by just 1 run, so all they need here is a single. First pitch is taken by West, and it's in there for a strike. Dartmouth
for the Halifax, I'm sorry to interject there for a moment there, Graham. We have Mark Steiner warming up for the Halifax Pelham Blues in the bullpen at this time. In the event Sardi gets himself into trouble. 2 runs certainly will not be credited to Sardi's record. They were the runners on base when he came in.
1-1 is the count now to Greg West.
They go through a couple of innings and pitch well and hold them, but you cannot get lulled into a sense of security on the mound pitching against this team.
Another thing too, Bill, for Scott, a little offensive support might have made it a little different. He might have not been so compelled or forced to make the perfect pitch.
Exactly, because what happens to the pitcher, the mindset of the pitcher, is that he starts thinking he's got to do it all himself. And that's when the pitchers start getting themselves into trouble. They tend to overthrow a little, and they get themselves into trouble. And this is in this particular inning, Scott McCullum did get himself into trouble. So
Richard Sardi coming in for Halifax, number 3. He's a hard-throwing right-hander. He's got some hard pitches, good fastball, good change. He's also got an effective slider if he can get it over for a strike. So this is a little bit of change from McCullum. He throws it a little harder, I think. So maybe
yes.
Dartmouth.
Yes, he does. And so the batting order will have to make that adjustment, knowing that he can bring a little harder heat to bear, and with a little better select, with perhaps a more varied pitch selection than Scott McCullum, that can throw the Moosehead Dry off a bit.
Once again, another item of note here, Bill, just a public service announcement, if you will. For all you fans watching at home, if you'd like to see some of these games live, Saturday afternoon, Dartmouth takes on the hard-charging Sydney Sooners at 2 p.m. for first game of a 3-game weekend series. The doubleheader game on Saturday goes at 5 o'clock. Sydney, with 2 victories last week over Yarmouth, upping their standings. So, you know, it could be a playoff preview with the way the teams are playing now.
Certainly now Sydney putting on a run for the playoffs, and Sydney's never a team that you can take very lightly. They do have a couple of good pitchers. They do have some good hits, some good sticks on that team. So this certainly will be a more challenging series, the Dartmouth and Moose High Drive.
As of yet, with Todd Parker at first base still being charged to Scott. Pass ball, Parker on his horse, and he makes it to second. Parker, another guy with deceptive speed. He can get down that. He can break that 90 feet in a hurry.
Ryan Doucette at the plate. What a job he's done at second base for the Moosehead Drive these past years, coming up from the Midget A Select program. Now, really, you can really classify Ryan as a veteran on this team. What a job he has done in solidifying the second base spot for the Moosehead Drive in the infield.
Well, him and Greg work so well together in the middle infield. It makes it tough on opposing teams who try to hit one up the middle. I mean, you know, it's a good confidence to have an infield where you know, like a pitcher, from a pitcher's frame of mind, you go out there and you know 99% of the ground balls you get are going to be outs.
That's right, and they've worked.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a pitching change for the Halifax Blooms. Chris McDonald now having left the mound. Richard Sardi coming on the mound in relief of McDonald. We have the situation, runners at second and third for Dartmouth with no outs, having one run scored. Score now 7-4 for Halifax. Mark Weeks coming up at the plate. And Sardi, mainly a fast baller. We'll see what the Moosehead Dry can do in familiar territory, coming up against a guy that can throw some heat, primarily, or should say dominantly, the Dartmouth Moosehead Dry, a very strong fastball hitting team. Perhaps this is what they were looking for.
Could be just what the doctor ordered for Dartmouth. Trailing by 4 runs entering the inning, as we said, they got 1. So the tying run now is actually at the plate in the person of Mark Weeks, whose base is already here. He swings at the first pitch he sees and grounds it to third base. And the play's going to be at first, and they pull the runner off the bag. So he's safe at first. Another error. And it's now 7-5.
Ballpark. Again, we'd like to thank Access Cable for their stellar camera work and coverage this year of Nova Scotia Senior Baseball here in Dartmouth.
Once again, just mentioning the guys on cameras, Jason Barnes, Chris Moreau, Gail McQuarrie, Bruce Burton, and our graphics guy, Howard Reagan.
Who's always keeping you up to date on the score.
Absolutely, and our line feed back at the station, Mark Bray, and our director, our happy-go-lucky Dan, who sits here and pulls his hair out all night long, but everything's going smoothly, Dan, so keep it back. Oh, I see. You didn't, that's not your hair? Oh.
Now, for Dartmouth here in the bottom of the 7th inning, they're going to look to answer, try to bridge, maybe distance this gap.
Gail, you're not here, but you're mentioned anyway, and I know you're with us here in spirit, even though you may be watching it at home.
Number 32, the catcher, Mark Weeks.
Dartmouth want to maybe put some runs up here, do some positive things here, you know, turn this game back around, put the momentum back in their favor, because I think it's kind of swung towards Halifax now. With a new pitcher here, too, I mean, he hasn't gone through the lineup quite yet. He's faced 2 batters, so Dartmouth's got to get used to him. Mark Weeks and Greg Marquis both have leaned away from a pitch and somehow gotten hit with it. But we're not allowed to take their base for some unknown rule. I think it's the Valley hit by pitch rule. Mark takes a beating behind the plate, blocking balls, and he seems to get hit a few times too. It's a good cut there to stay alive with 2 strikes on him.
Yeah, the greater the pitcher is throwing with a little more heat, mixing it up a little at that speed. So it's an adjustment the Dartmouth batters are going to have to make.
Sardi seemed to try to find that
Inside spot, but
strike.
it's hard to do for a right-hander because he has to throw inside, as opposed to a lefty who can pitch and let the ball move inside.
Weeks swings at strike 3, hustles down the line. Hartnett picks it up and fires to get the out.
Good hustle to get down the line. Have to respond to it.
So Halifax, there's a play by Richard Sardi, ground back to the pitcher. Jay Washington breaks the double play, but so there you go. It's 1 out now for Halifax, but the bases still remain loaded.
Batting for Dartmouth, number 33.
That was a
Ryan Doucette.
ground ball right back to the pitcher. Juggled it momentarily, but recovered quickly and fired the runner out at the plate.
It brings up Ryan Doucette, who's stung the ball pretty hard tonight. So we hope to he hopes to see what's going on, see if he can get a few hits here in an RBI, or a hit and a few RBIs. I don't think that's quite what Todd wanted to do. Was
No.
ground back to the pitcher, maybe put it somewhere, give someone a chance to score. I think he probably would have rather doubled into
Well inside.
back to the pitcher, maybe put it somewhere, give someone a chance to score. I think he probably would have rather doubled into
Well inside on a ball 2 count to Ryan Doucette.
Ryan's going to see something he likes here and hopefully try to put it
Yeah, I
in
think
the
that-
hole. Ryan's going to see something he likes here and hopefully try to put it
Yeah, I
in
think
the
that-
hole. Looked like a good pitch there from Richard Sardi. Had some velocity on it.
Inside corner. Inside corner. He got that one.
Jack Hoganson tonight calling a good game of balls and strikes. Letting the pitchers pitch and the guys play ball. Even a walk here is good for Dartmouth. He moves the guys around and brings in that.
That's right.
Gives
It's
another
that-
cushion. Is there a distance here, Bill? If Dartmouth scores X amount of runs, like say they score 5 runs, give a 6-run gap, will you bring Bailey back, or would you say?
No, I wouldn't bring Bailey back. I would put somebody like if Trevor Zink was available, or I know that sometimes Zeddy gets hit a little bit, but when his good stuff is working, and that's 2 out.
So Dartmouth
No runs across. Bases loaded. 2 out.
Dartmouth has twice grounded into some fielder's choices here. Again, the bases are loaded.